Your Gemini didn't ghost you randomly. Their exit protocol was encoded the day they were born. And if you don't understand their Decan, you'll never understand why they left the way they did. Most people think all Geminis end relationships the same way, with silence and disappearance. They're wrong. There are 3 distinct breakup operating systems running inside the Gemini mind. And your birthday determines which program executes when things fall apart. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly which Decan you are and why your last relationship ended the way it did. Whether you're the Gemini who left or the partner still wondering what happened, this is the psychological blueprint no one's ever shown you. Before we decode the breakup styles, you need to understand this. Gemini isn't one personality. It's 3 different operating systems running on the same hardware. Same zodiac sign. Completely different psychological architecture. Your Decan determined by your birth date controls how your Mercury processor handles emotional shutdown. Think of it like this. All 3 Decans have the same core CPU, but each one runs different software when the relationship crashes. Decan 1, May 21st through 31st, Mercury plus Jupiter. This is the idealist processor. You're wired for expansion, hope, and future thinking. When you exit, you're looking for philosophical closure. Decan 2, June 1st through 10th, Mercury plus Mars and Venus, the diplomat processor. Strategy meets relationship analysis. When you exit, it's surgical calculated to minimize collateral damage. Decan 3, June 11th through 20th, Mercury plus Uranus, the revolutionary processor. You're wired for upheaval and transformation. When you exit, you don't break up, you self-destruct and rebuild. Same sign, 3 completely different breakup protocols. If you've ever wondered why your Gemini X left differently than your Gemini friend would, this is why. The exit code was written at birth. Now let's break down exactly how each system executes when it detects relationship incompatibility. Decan 1, May 21st through 31st, the ghost with a conscience. If this is your birthday range, your breakup style is controlled by Jupiter's influence, the planet of expansion and hope. And that creates a specific psychological problem. You can't just leave. You have to justify leaving. Here's what most people don't understand about Decan 1 Geminis. You don't end relationships in real time. You end them in your mind, first sometimes months before the actual breakup conversation happens. By the time you say the words, you've already processed the grief, rebuilt your narrative, and moved on emotionally. Signature behavior number 1, the slow fade algorithm. You don't slam doors. You gradually decrease contact frequency, response time, emotional availability. You're running a controlled shutdown sequence, reducing system resources allocated to this person week by week. The psychology here. Jupiter makes you wait for them to notice the distance, so you don't have to be the villain. You'd rather they ask what's wrong than deliver the breakup speech yourself. But here's the real indicator your partner should watch for. It's not when you stop texting back. It's when you stop sharing your inner world, your thoughts, your ideas, your dreams. That's when the Decan 1 exit protocol has already started. Signature behavior number 2, the "it's not you, it's my growth" speech. When you finally do break up with someone, you frame it as spiritual evolution. You'll use phrases like, "I need to find myself. This chapter is closing. We're growing in different directions." Why does Decan 1 do this? Because Jupiter demands a reason that sounds noble. You can't just say, "I don't feel it anymore." You need the breakup to mean something bigger, a cosmic realignment, a necessary transformation. But here's the translation your partner needs to hear. "I've already processed this. I'm 3 months ahead of you emotionally. I've mourned, analyzed, and accepted this ending while you thought we were still building something." Signature behavior number 3, the guilt-driven check-in cycle. And this is where Decan 1 differs from the other 2. Unlike Decan 2 who cuts clean, or Decan 3 who vanishes completely, You'll randomly reappear after the breakup to make sure they're okay. The psychology. Jupiter is the planet of expansion, not severance. You can't fully disconnect from people. Even after you've left, part of you feels responsible for their emotional state. So you'll check in 3, maybe 4 times post-breakup with texts like, "I hope you doing well," or "I've been thinking about you." But here's what that actually means. Each check-in is your system confirming the breakup was the right decision. You're not coming back. You're filing a final report. And once you stop checking in once, that guilt cycle completes, you vanish permanently. The file has been archived. The power move for Decan 1 Geminis. Stop narrating your exit. The relationship ended when you stopped being curious about them, not when you finally had the talk. Own that timeline. And for partners of Decan 1 South, if they're suddenly over-explaining why they need space, they've already left. The speech is just the paperwork. Decan 2, June 1st through 10th. The surgical extraction. If this is your birthday, you're running the most strategic breakup protocol of all 3 decans. Mars gives you execution speed. Venus gives you aesthetic precision. And Mercury coordinates the entire operation. This is the Decan that ends relationships with military efficiency. You don't explode like Decan 3. You don't guilt cycle like Decan 1. You perform a diplomatic assassination where you make the breakup look mutual, even when it's completely your decision. Signature behavior number 1 is strategic cool-down period. When Decan 2 decides a relationship isn't working, you don't announce it immediately. You manufacture emotional distance first. Suddenly, you're too busy for dates. You need more space. You're overwhelmed with work. The psychology. Mars influence means you avoid conflict through control. You're creating a buffer zone, so when the breakup happens, it feels logical instead of emotional. You're detaching in phases to minimize your own pain and to make sure they can't accuse you of blindsiding them. By the time you break up, you've already conditioned them to expect it. Signature behavior. Number 2, the evidence-building phase. While you're cooling down, your Mercury processor is running a background scan. You're mentally cataloging every incompatibility, every pattern that proves this relationship doesn't work. You'll start pointing things out. You always do this. We never agree on that. This pattern keeps repeating. Your partner thinks you're trying to fix things. You're not. You're building a case file so you won't second-guess the decision later. Venus influence means you need aesthetic closure, a clean, logical reason that makes sense on paper. Signature behavior number 3, the clean-cut exit. Once you've decided, you'll end it with eerie calmness. No drama, no yelling, no emotional breakdown. Just a polished breakup speech you've mentally rehearsed 20 times. Mars gives you the execution speed. You move fast once the decision is final. Venus gives you the polished delivery. You'll be articulate, fair, even kind. But here's what your partner doesn't realize. You've already mourned this relationship while they thought everything was fine. The aftermath. Zero contact. Decan 2 doesn't do guilt check-ins like Decan 1. You've already processed it. The file is closed. Reaching out would be inefficient. And inefficiency violates your operating system. The power move for Decan 2 Geminis. Your partner deserves to know you're exiting while you're exiting, not after you've already processed it alone for 2 months. And for partners of Decan 2 South, if they suddenly become too understanding of your flaws, if they stop fighting about the same old issues, they've already left mentally. The body just hasn't caught up yet. Decan 3, June 11th through 20th. The Scorched Earth Restart. If this is your birthday, you don't break up with people. You detonate the entire relationship structure and rebuild yourself from the ground up. Uranus, the planet of upheaval and revolution, controls your exit code. This is the most misunderstood breakup style because it looks insane from the outside. One day everything seems fine. 2 days later, you've moved to another city, but it's not impulsive. It's your system detecting a fundamental incompatibility and hitting the emergency shutdown before more damage occurs. Signature behavior number 1, the sudden polarity flip. Decan 3 goes from everything is fine to I can't do this anymore in 48 hours. There's no slow fade like Decan 1, no strategic cooldown like Decan 2, just a lightning bolt realization that splits your reality in half. The psychology. Uranus is awakening energy. It doesn't process gradually. It delivers revelations. Your system will tolerate incompatibility for months, absorbing the tension until one moment, one conversation, one incident triggers a complete paradigm shift. Suddenly, you see the relationship for what it is. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. The real indicator, when a Decan 3 Gemini suddenly makes a philosophical statement like, I don't recognize myself anymore, or this isn't who I am, that's not a conversation starter. That's the shutdown sequence initiating. You have maybe 72 hours before they're gone. Signature behavior number 2, the identity purge. Decan 3 doesn't just leave you. They leave the version of themselves that existed in the relationship. New haircut, new city, new career, new friend group, all at once. It looks like a breakdown. It's actually a controlled demolition. Why does this happen? Because Uranus makes you associate the relationship with an outdated self-concept. You're not breaking up with your partner. You're breaking up with who you were when you were with them. The only way to move forward is to destroy that old identity completely and reconstruct from scratch. Signature behavior number 3, the no closure vanish. Unlike Decan 1 who checks in out of guilt, or Decan 2 who delivers a polished speech, Decan 3 just disappears. No explanation, no final conversation, no social media trace. The psychology. You've already deconstructed the entire relationship in your mind. Every conversation has been analyzed. Every outcome has been simulated. Talking about it now would just recontaminate your system with old programming. So you cut the connection completely. The aftermath. If Decan 3 returns and it's rare, they'll act like a completely different person. Because they are. They've rebooted the entire operating system. And here's the power move for Decan 3 Geminis. Your need for total reinvention is valid. But disappearing without a word isn't revolutionary. It's just cruelty with a spiritual filter. And for partners of Decan 3 South, if they start questioning what life even means, if they suddenly seem detached from everything they used to value, they're about to detonate. You can't stop it. You can only decide if you're going to wait for closure that will never come. So now you understand. Your breakup style isn't a character flaw. It's a fingerprint. It was encoded in your birth chart before you ever met the person you'd eventually leave. Decan 1. You leave slowly because you're wired for expansion, not destruction. Jupiter makes you search for meaning in the ending. You need the breakup to teach you something, to move you toward growth. That's not weakness. That's your operating system protecting you from making decisions you'll regret. Decan 2. You leave strategically because you're wired for control, not chaos. Mars and Venus give you the ability to execute with precision while maintaining dignity. That's not coldness. That's your system minimizing damage for both people. Decan 3. You leave explosively because you're wired for transformation, not stagnation. Uranus doesn't let you stay in anything that's outgrown its purpose. That's not cruelty. That's your system forcing evolution when you'd otherwise stay comfortable in dysfunction. The question was never if you'd end things when they're wrong. Geminis don't stay where they don't belong. That's universal across all 3 decans. The only question is whether you'll own your exit protocol or let guilt distort it into something it's not. And if you're watching this trying to decode someone else's silence, if you're the partner of a Gemini who left and you still don't understand why, Decan 1 is still checking on you because guilt keeps them tethered. Decan 2 has already moved on because the clean cut was the whole point. Decan 3 has become someone new, because staying the same person wasn't an option. You can't change their Decan. You can't reprogram their exit code. But you can stop waiting for closure that operates on their internal timeline instead of yours. Because their breakup protocol isn't about you. It never was. It's about which planetary software was installed at birth. Your Decan doesn't predict if you'll leave. It predicts how. And once you understand your operating system, you stop apologizing for your exit code. Subscribe for Gemini Psychological Blueprints. We decode Gemini breakup psychology, Decan-specific behavior patterns, and the planetary programming that controls how Mercury-ruled minds process relationship endings, turning confusion into clarity through psychological analysis. Real psychology delivered weekly.